What's up, guys? Y'all want to see a cluttered chart? Here you go. That 3-hour demand zone that we've been looking at for a couple of days now is on the bigger side. So I hate looking at it, but need to keep it on the chart, and that's what's taking up most of our space here. Um, Decent day today, better than yesterday. We had more action, created some supply zones, got some demand zones, so we were able to get a few bounces off of each side. I took one trade, but we had three decent opportunities here that we could have taken more than one trade off of. We'll get into that here in a bit. On the demand side, so we know we have this 3-hour zone right here. Below that, we have a pretty good 30 that we bounced off of once from a couple of days ago, or actually last week. This is the first bounce. This is the second bounce, and we bounced actually at the bottom of the zone today. Below that, we have, as usual, so many demand zones from this uptrend the past couple weeks. But below this 30-minute zone, we have a 1-hour zone here at 44.91 that, if we get down to it, could provide as support, and a 4-hour zone a little bit below that. On the supply side, we have a 3-hour zone that was created right after the open. I went ahead and marked it. 3-hour zone here at 45.46. And a 45-minute zone from that massive sell-off yesterday here at 45.73-ish, and a 30-minute zone above that. And the orange level is our key 45.85 level that, since we broke firmly, may act as resistance again if we do get there sometime next week. Didn't get there today. So we have our supply, we have our demand zones, and as always, overnight highs here at 45.55, which happened a little bit before the open, about an hour, and also overnight lows at 45.37, which also happened about a little bit before the open, 15-30 minutes. So similar to yesterday, as overnight lows were right before the open, also opening up in a demand zone, which was similar to yesterday. And then another similarity was just weakness off the get-go. Demand zone didn't provide too much support. We basically just had a pretty good downtrend for the first couple hours. In my eyes, invalidating this demand zone since we got so far deep into the zone. For me to go long in it, I would have wanted to make a higher low off of yesterday's touch into it, which was about 45.26. We tried to for the first hour, but couldn't really get out of it. I mean, at this point, since we're so low into it, I probably would have wanted to break this 3-hour zone right here, consolidate over overnight highs, and then move up from there. At that point, maybe it came back down, touched it quick, and then reversed out of it. And that's probably the only way I would have gotten long. So other than that, long entries, I was aiming for this 45.10 demand zone down here. So the first couple hours, like I said, downtrend, broke down overnight lows pretty quick here, coming down, decent sell volume. I mean, you can see these sell candles on the 5-minute chart. Buying is pretty weak, lower volume on the buy side, 1, 2, 3. Pretty clear weakness. It also correlated on almost every single time frame. But we did create even more supply zones on the way. We created, I don't want to clutter the chart too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line here on the 30-minute. But we did create 30-minute supply zone at right after the first 30 minutes of the open. Let's see if I can get this. There's your 30-minute. Also created a 15-minute here at about 9:15. That gave us a couple decent entries. I'm going to go ahead and draw a box for this. 15 minutes. All right. There's your 15. And that provided us with the first entry or possible entry of the day. So the supply zone was created at about 9:15 off of this dip here. We consolidated a little bit, actually made a double bottom. Like I said, so far deep down into the demand zone where I didn't take it. but came back up, retested this 15-minute zone perfectly. We touched it once, came down, we made a higher low here, so still pretty strong. Came back up, went farther into the zone, actually made a higher high, so no reason to short. But then we came down and made a lower low, right? There's your first sign of weakness. We also had some, where are we? Right here, low 5-minute buying, your second sign of weakness. And then at that point, usually you have to have, low 5 or really just low volume candles. It doesn't just die right away. You'll get like a random bull trap spike, which is what I was looking for at that point. I was actually away from the computer. I was looking at it on my phone. Didn't want to make a trade on my phone, so I didn't play it. I might have, if I was on my computer. I'm not sure. But you had a pretty good entry here on a clear lower high, and then just a straight, 15, 20 point sell off from there. If you did take this trade, you're going to want to look profits at the first sign of strength. One, once it broke intraday lows right here, 45.18, you could have taken your profits. Or if you're always riding towards the demand zone, which is our goal, you would have had a nice 20 points, 25 point scalp here. Or I guess you not really a scalp there. That's just a solid win right there. Could have taken your profits here, or some partials here. Take the rest of your profits here. So that's a good first play. After that, so on this big sell-off, we also created a 45-minute supply zone. And I really don't even want to make a box here because it's just going to clutter it. But I feel like I have to. So let me make this 45-minute. And we did break down below that big 3-hour demand zone, so I can go ahead and wipe that away, and that'll help clear up our chart here a little bit. Get this out of here. See you later. All right, so that big zone is now off the chart. Now we just have this 30-minute demand zone from a couple of days ago, or from last week actually. All right, let's see. Okay, came down here, consolidated in this demand zone. Came down pretty far once again into the zone where it kind of scared me out. I wasn't looking to go long here. The only other good thing here was we had the 4,500 psychological level. So those usually bring in some buyers, which it did. Another reason why I didn't take it was because we had such a untouched 1-hour zone right here at 44.91 that I easily could have seen them, creating some type of bear trap where you break it down below 4,500. Everybody thinks it's going to collapse to, I don't know, 44.50 or something. They load up short here, and then we reverse right into this demand zone. And that's kind of what I was looking for. We didn't get it, but we did make a clear low here, and then the selling just kind of disappeared. Here's where your entry would have been. You have that higher low, not only off the demand zone, but also that held this resistance right here. This 45.12, 45.14 was pretty good resistance in this consolidation area. We came down, held it perfectly, had some low 5-minute sell volume, which is another sign of strength, and then ripped up from there. At that point, if you took this trade, you're going to want to take your profits inside this pretty good 45-minute supply zone here. Coming up, and this is when I was back on my computer. I was looking for a short position. I know it looked strong, but that doesn't mean anything. If there's supply zones there, it can look weak at any moment. So we get up into that zone. There was no reason to short this. I mean, it's a good zone, clear as day, right? But until you actually do get clear weakness, there's no reason, there's no point of shorting. Here's your high. We have higher lows here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and just ripped up from there. If they would have given us, these candles actually weren't the best. They do look pretty weak. But if we had a lower high in the 5-minute chart, then I probably would have taken it. But we just ripped right through it, really. It was looking pretty strong off this bounce up from 4,500. So let's go ahead and get this out of here. And then we are now into this 15-minute supply zone that we already rejected off once. So it's the second time we're touching it. It may not be as reliable as the first time. Usually after that first touch, the second time we get back into the zone, they are less reliable. But you did have overnight lows here as confluence, which is good. It tried to break it and actually did, but then quickly rejected off of it. Let's get a closer view. All right, so once we came back down and made new lows, so here's your higher low right here, right? We came back down, made a new low. We had some low 1 minute buying volume, which is my first sign of weakness. Um, the NASDAQ was also in a 1 hour supply zone for the first time. And so that was kind of another part of confluence there. And that's kind of what piqued my interest. So we came up, touched it, rejected off of it. And at this point, once we got down here, we made clear lower lows. I'm looking for a spike. I'm looking for a spike into that zone, try to catch a lower high and short off of it, which is exactly what we got. This 5 minute candle didn't have the best volume weakness wise. It was about even. I would like to see this volume a little bit lower. But I waited for it to close, and I saw that it closed with a pretty good upper wick, and which is a clear lower high. And I shorted right about here at 45.32, risking the high over here. I probably would have risked actually 45.40 because we have some pretty good resistance here. So I would have covered around 45.41 if we got there. Even if, there's 30-minute zones here and there's 3 hour zone here, I'm not going to risk that. So I would have covered if it broke above this. But luckily it didn't. It looked strong. It looked like it was going to keep on going, especially after this quick 30-point rip. But that's not what happened. It reversed from there. I went ahead and took profits off of the first 10-point drop here at 45.24, mainly because there was some consolidation here, and I figured we might get a decent bounce. And we actually did get a bounce here, but it ended up just being a trap before the rug pull, and down we go. At the end of the day, it did look okay here because once again, you're above this demand zone. You're actually above this higher low here. So technically, you're just making another higher low above a demand zone, right? It was about 15 minutes before the end of the day. And as I always say, that the volume that comes in there is just, kind of unpredictable. It gets a little crazy. So I passed on it. But you could have taken a higher low off of this too. So this could have been actually your fourth entry. And it just ripped up from there. We broke this 15-minute zone fairly easily. Yeah, no resistance at all, really, and ended in this area. So it looks like it closed here at 45.38 and a half. So that's where it would open on Sunday. But 3 to 4 good setups, that's all we can ask for. All we need is one good setup. We ended up getting 3 or 4. And that's better than most days this week. It's been kind of a slow week, especially yesterday, and today made up for it a little bit. We had, like I said, 3 to 4 good entries. I had one, and that's all we can ask for each and every day. So we'll see where tomorrow, or I guess today's Friday, so we'll see what happens on Monday. We created some demand zones right here. See if we can come and retest it and get a long position off of it. Not, we have plenty of supply above. Wait for the price to get in there, and once it looks weak, short off of it. As I always say, we don't do anything until we're in our zones. Once it gets in our zones, we evaluate, we see if it looks strong, see if it looks weak, and we take a trade based off of that. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.